So welcome everybody. This is our Power Hug session for November. We're meeting a little bit early, earlier than the fourth Thursday of the month, to spare you all your Thanksgiving time. And we've also got a really exciting Ignite conference next week for Microsoft, and we didn't want to be up against that by any stretch. So if this is your first time, we are a healthcare and life sciences Power Platform user group. Healthcare user group is the HUG acronym there. We're here roughly fourth Thursday of every month. It's always tricky around the holidays, so we'll be moving things around a little bit to make it easier to attend. But our sessions are up on YouTube after the fact for anybody that needs to reach them on demand or wants to go back in time and comb through some of the sessions we've done previously. We also do have a group or a forum on LinkedIn that you can join. I think that's the QR code if you'd like to scan that, or that aka.ms link. We'd love to see you there. Always open to, have questions posted, tell your stories. And if anybody would ever like to present with us on Power Hug, we would absolutely love to have you. Topics include, but are not limited to, governance, use cases, stories, promotion, citizen development, strategy, alignment, lessons learned, really any and everything. This whole series was born from a Power Platform community conference a couple of years ago when we had a roundtable. And we found the demand, and we continue to find the demand every year at the conference for our customers to hear from one another extremely high. So we'll continue to be here once a month and posting those things on YouTube in hopes that all of you can learn from one another and we can kind of be the rising tide that lifts all ships here. We do have a couple upcoming events. Randall, I'll let you touch on these real quickly and kick us off, and then I will take it back from there.
Great. All right. Thanks, Scott. So next, I guess it's about one exact month from now, we're going to actually have one of our colleagues, Abhijit Kumar, talk to us about a use case called AppealSense, AI-powered platform that transforms how payers manage appeals and grievances. So it's built on Copilot Studio and Power Platform, and it automates intake analysis and recommendations to deliver insightful triage, guided decisions, and streamlined workflow. So this will, I think, be Abhijit's first time talking to us at Power Hug. So I'm looking forward to that and can't wait to hear about his use case and how he shows that to y'all next month. So come prepared to talk about Copilot Studio and automation in the payer space. All right. And then obviously next week we've got Ignite coming up for everyone. So you can be in person or virtual. If you haven't done so already, please go to ignite.microsoft.com, register for that virtual event, and load your schedule up with a bunch of sessions, kind of like Power Platform Conference, where you have a ton of information coming at you. And there's a whole bunch coming at Ignite in terms of Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Copilot, Studio, Power Platform, a whole bunch of stuff. So please attend the sessions, catch up on the latest and greatest. And afterward, there will be plenty of Ignite recap sessions as well that we'll try to make sure everyone knows about. And then there are some AI tour, AI tour events that are hitting different locations across the United States and the globe, for that matter. So feel free to hit Power AI Tour and check out the latest AI tour near you. And with that, we basically are going to jump into our session today, and I'm going to hand it off to Tracy to kick us off into our recap of our insights, our highlights, and some of the fun that we've had at Power Hug. I invite you to chat in the comments with any sessions or events that you enjoyed or maybe didn't like or were questioning the announcements. Anything you want, put it in the chat. We'll be happy to monitor and answer there. And with that, Tracy, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you, Randall. Quick check. You guys can hear me okay, correct? Awesome. So for those who I haven't met, again, Tracy Kinsey, I'm an AI business process specialist in our healthcare team. Thank you for having me today. I have the pleasure of giving you a bit of a PPCC recap, kicking it off. Before I get into the fun numbers, they always say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but not in this situation. We're going to share all the fun details of the announcements for those who were both there and obviously those who didn't have the pleasure of attending in person. This year we were at the MGM in Las Vegas, unprecedented growth this year. We brought together roughly 7,400 attendees across 94 countries. As you can see on the slide, 110 sessions and 23 workshops. Very exciting group of developers, enthusiasts coming together to share best practices. And as you can see here, we have Charles Lamanna, our senior executive, on stage for the keynote. very well attended. Randall, I think you and I are about 12 rows back there in the center. I think I can where's Waldo myself and see where I'm at. Moving ahead, I want to kick it off with what I thought were kind of some of the most valuable times at the conference. And that occurs around the networking and social experience. A lot of people don't realize all of the sidebar events, and there's a lot of images here of not only Microsoft employees, but customers and events. And I believe these are some of the most valuable times because this is where our customers come together, not in a workshop, but just offline, sharing ideas around innovation of what they built on the platform. Obviously, we had abundant events this year. As you can see, there were happy hours, industry roundtables, keynotes, happy hours all over the board. We had a ton of SI partners sponsoring happy hours after hours. We had private concert put on by Christina Aguilera, which was really cool. And for obviously the folks who are into racing, we had the Alpine Racing Experience. You see Charles standing in front of the car. And then we even saw a lot of our customers taking in some of the local sites of Las Vegas with the Sphere, attending Wizard of Oz. So just a tremendous networking experience. Feedback we've gotten is extremely positive. I do want to double tap down on one event, and that was the HLS Roundtable event, which was incredibly attended. Over 200 attendees, as you can see, standing room only in the back of the room. And before I get too far along, a big thank you to 3 of our customers who participated on the panel, Greg, Joshua, and Matthew. I see Joshua's logged in here quickly. Congratulations. It was such a success. A lot of key learnings here. A lot of great sharing. The focus really, and really big takeaways for me was just understanding the landscape of use cases across 3 major organizations, Delta Dental, Takeda Pharmaceuticals, and Humana, to sharing of really how you could drive ROI. Like a 30-to-1 ratio was shared, or a $10 million savings from one billable use case. Thank you, Team Humana and Joshua, for the in-depth sharing in that area. Just enabling businesses, while balancing security and privacy and compliance, how you could do that on the platform. Personal sandboxes were leveraged for safe exploration and path to production on the platform. And I really loved how customers were starting to leverage Dataverse over traditional methods on the platform. So that was one of my favorite experiences, Healthcare Roundtable. Thank you again for those who participated on the ground. I am going to do a plug. This was Tracy's top 14 of the conference. We'll share this file out for you as well. But these were the top 14 things that really resonated with me. And you're lucky today because Scott, obviously Randall and Liz are going to go a little bit deeper on some of these really cool announcements. So you can see my top 14 here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hand it off so that you have the ability to learn a little bit about some of those really cool announcements at the conference. I think I'm going to...
I'll take it over, Tracy. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
So I'll start with Tracy's number 1, and I think it was a lot of people's number 1. It was definitely an attention grabber. Low code, as we know it, the critical operative phrase here is dead. And I think this can be taken a lot of ways when you say something this drastic in front of a group of 7,500 people who have made their careers out of the Power Platform in some way, shape, or form. But I really think what this is representative of is how AI is further democratizing what can get done from a business perspective. So we're no longer necessarily focused on exclusively no or low code building and creation with the Power Platform. We're opening it up with things like code apps that we're going to talk about for more pro developers to deploy their solutions in the same managed platform that is the Power Platform. And we're also making it easier than ever for somebody like me who's not a coder by background to generate code and deploy my applications in a more flexible way. So really, this is just the next generation. What's old is new. We're still empowering a spectrum of makers to do more and bringing those tools closer to those business process experts. They know their processes better than anybody, and we want to make sure we're supporting them to solve their problems and create more efficiency for them. The other, I think I might have seen this slide in every single session that I attended. Copilot Studio has a maker experience for all AI makers, right? We have the light experience for end users inside of M365 Copilot, and we have the full experience in Copilot Studio. I think a lot of people that are have Power Platform backgrounds are probably a little bit more interested in that full experience because it brings together some capabilities that we've had in AI Builder, in Power Automate, one kind of super product that's really helping us to transform in a way that we have not to date seen. And it's also a tool that's getting a ton of investment from our product group. Nearly week over week, it feels like we're seeing a new feature land in that product that's really exciting. And with Ignite a week out, we're going to see a huge leap forward next week. So I'm really looking forward to digging in after Ignite. But that isn't to say that Power Apps is going anywhere. And this is a question that I think, Randall, Liz, and I, and Tracy, I'm sure as well, get a lot is, what is the future of more, applications? But people are obviously with good reason excited and focused on agents today. But the piece that I try to reiterate to folks is we're going to have a lot more productivity, automation, intelligence that are done by agents. There's no doubt about that. But we're still going to be managing those automations with Power Apps. So when we talk about responsible AI, a human in the loop comes up all the time, right? And one of the various ways that we can bring a human into the loop is via Power Apps. We have tools even that are built into model-driven apps for things like monitoring autonomous agents to make sure that we can bring our makers and our creators and those folks that are still responsible for those processes into the flow of work and make sure that everything is running smoothly. And we also have AI capabilities coming to Power Apps more and more every day. So I won't spoil those because I don't want to take away from Randall's thunder. But some of the things that you can do as a very novice user and a couple of healthy prompts inside of Power Apps is just really very cool. I'll focus today on Copilot Studio. So some of the highlights from the roadmap, answer quality. We just continue to strive to provide, not only more and more capabilities for end users, but also just higher response quality over structured data, unstructured data, SharePoint data, graph data. Another big one, evaluations and analytics. So if you've played with our Copilot Studio Hub, you may have seen some of these things. We're bringing it more native to the product, right inside of the product, where you can use AI to generate test cases. You can run those test cases and start to compare how you're doing, in addition to the other analytics that we have native to those agents as well, including ROI. Model choice and fine tuning kind of comes back to answer quality, but giving you more control, right? So taking you out of this kind of black box scenario where you're stuck with whatever the default model is, giving you access to a variety of different models, both OpenAI and non-OpenAI. So we're seeing some Anthropic models available to you in Copilot Studio today. And I expect that list is going to continue to get longer and longer so that you can really hone in on what's needed for your use case. And then the part that I always get most excited about, which is my little kind of nerdy flag, core admin and governance capabilities. So in my experience with this platform over many, many years, our customers can only get this value and this goodness that we talk about every month here if they can govern it, if they can control it, if they can understand what's happening in their tenant. And we have more and more focus than ever from our Power Apps scale team and engineering to help you with creating a managed platform that you can be comfortable with from an IT perspective. So I'll just jump into a couple of those. Model choice, you can see here highlighted, allowing you to choose from a variety of different and the absolute latest AI models. One of the things, I think it's 5.1 Pro. It was just, I saw on Charles' LinkedIn like yesterday that it's going to be coming to this list very soon. So you're starting to see a tightening of the time from OpenAI releasing a model or another party releasing a model and us getting it into Copilot Studio. And that really is a game changer for us to help you experiment and push the boundaries of what can be done with AI. Copilot Studio testing and evaluations, like I said, coming to public preview and coming right into your analytics tab. So we're no longer having to go to that Copilot hub. We can do this right in line. Creating evaluation sets is super easy. You can do kind of imported files if you have a set that you're focused on. And you can also just have AI generate them for you, which is another really great time saver when we're talking about test automation. It isn't always the job to be doing. But with AI, we can kind of eliminate some of the rigmarole of coming up with those test cases. And of course, you could use your standard Copilot to do that as well. And all of this is going to be driving continuous improvement and reducing risk for your organization as you deploy these agents to production. Agent cost controls, I'll just flag this one as another one of my favorite announcements, right? So giving our IT admins the ability to, at an agent to agent level, not just the environment level, set both soft and hard limits on what an agent can consume from a credit capacity standpoint. Soft limits being notifications, hard limits being shutdown of service. Another absolutely critical one, right? Like, risk isn't just a data and security and privacy problem. There's also a cost risk element with AI. And we want to give you the tools in your hands to make sure that you're controlling for cost just as well as you're controlling for those data security and privacy risks. We know that you need to be able to do that to adopt anything at any kind of scale. And there's also a lot of different ways to more ways than ever to purchase credit. So if you haven't heard about our P3 SKUs and things like that, do reach out and let us explain some of the new options for you, because we're trying to make it as easy as possible to get those credits into your environment. Maybe one that people are rolling their eyes and saying, finally, but seeing everything in our new inventory. This was a public preview on the 30th. So just frankly, during the conference, I think this was. So our engineering team managed to work double duty, but allowing you to see an inventory of all of your agents in your system, including those Copilot Lite agents, which I think is a big one that at least my customers have been really focused on, because we sort of need to unify what ultimately are different experiences, but at least give our admins the ability to have that 360-degree view of what's happening in their tenant, along with looking at what each agent is doing from a totals and consumption perspective. And then early preview. So this will be more to come at Ignite. I can't even honestly tell you that I fully understand what's happening here, but I saw we have 3 Guardian agents working for you as an admin on your behalf. That highlights agent, the insights agent, and the action plan agent. Like, what a neat idea, because I know just about every Power Platform admin and governance team I've ever met is a lean and mean team that could use 3 assistants to help them out with all the different jobs they have to do in an organization. So really excited to see what a virtual center of enablement can bring for folks, and having some first party agents that they can get. Now, Power Automate, if you're not, if you're wondering, I was at the conference and maybe I didn't hear and see a lot about Power Automate. There's certainly a lot of Power Automate capability that's coming right into Copilot Studio. So talking about them separately is becoming a little bit more difficult. But needless to say, we have a ton of features and functionality from Power Automate that have come year in review. I always laugh because one of the biggest reactions during the keynote was the inline editing of a Cloudflow. It's one of those, if you know, it's kind of an inside baseball announcement, but it is a very necessary and exciting announcement. I don't want to drain this slide, so you can screenshot it if you need it. It'll be on YouTube if you need it. But I did want to at least focus on maybe my favorite announcement from at least the Power Automate desktop side of things. And that was using AI vision as a fallback. So when your desktop flow throws an error or fails, those are very deterministic, right? You've kind of programmed them to do a very specific thing, but we know the reality of UIs and applications tend to be in flux, right? So now we can have an automated retry using AI. And this kind of ties into computer use. If you've seen things about computer use in Copilot Studio, that's another one that we're going to see more of at Ignite. But just the ability to have artificial intelligence kind of offload some of the brittleness of an automation is a really exciting announcement for me. So look forward to see this one as it moves out of preview and into production. I'll hand it off to Randall. Randall's going to talk a little bit about more of what was announced on the Power Apps front.
All right, thanks, Scott. So we're going to dive a little bit into Power Apps and Dataverse and all the other tools that maybe you haven't heard much about. And I promise I'm not going to mention Copilot Studio during this section of the presentation. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But I think I first wanted to start off with touching again on that low code is dead story, right? I think it's more about, as we know it, we're offering more capabilities to you so that you can generate and create solutions your way using the tools you want. So some of the things I'm going to go through here are more about delivering more mechanisms to your creators to create your applications, to create your Power Pages, and really embed AI and intelligence throughout that application story. So depending on where they're comfortable working, we're trying to meet them there. And I think that's what really, that whole low code is dead story is all about. So first, let's just dive into the GA announcement, at least in the US region, where we're talking about generative pages. So now generative pages are GA in the US for creating powerful code pages within model-driven apps. So now you can use vibe coding, natural language to describe what you want and have it generate these powerful applications for you or generative pages for you in those model-driven apps, giving you complete flexibility as well as some of that React code behind the scenes and really generate some powerful looking and nice looking applications. Again, GA in the US. I think some of the great announcements that came out for app development is just about how we build apps and what they look like, especially responsive by default. So if you're familiar with building applications, you got to embed containers inside of containers inside of containers. And you see that over and over and over again in your application, and then trying to navigate your controls becomes a little bit of a headache. So there's a lot of improvements coming where we're going to, by default, give you that responsive capability to build those applications, and then also be able to see those controls nested within an app much, much easier. So you can get to the control without having to scroll down through your control tree to actually get to where you want. But again, something by default that's coming here in November. Some of the other things you're going to see, I'm kind of excited about too, in terms of the modern templates. So we've been stuck with the same templates and Power Apps forever, at least since I've been here. So it's great to see a refresh of those templates, modern looking applications, modern controls, the card control, new data grid, the confirm dialog, just something as simple as a confirm dialog was multiple controls, hide, show, all that good stuff coming to Power Apps. So all this you'll get in January and February of this coming year. And then as far as the templates go, it looks like there's going to be approximately 3 new templates that will be brought to the foreground that you'll be able to use when you start creating your applications and just getting started with a very modern looking application. So this is, I think, one of my favorite tools that I've been using on my own, creating applications and agents and workflows. But they did a refresh of this at the Power Platform Conference, and we're going to actually go through a little video here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's a refresh of Planner. So if you haven't used Planner before, it's all about using natural language to describe what you want to do. And then we use a series of agents to help create the requirements. We go through a process agent, a solution agent, an app agent, and then really build out and suggest applications, workflows, agents, as well as data models. So a whole bunch of agents coming together to help you put this application idea and make it a reality. But what we saw is actually a new agent being introduced into this. And I don't know if you can hear the audio or not, but it's a revised version of Planner. So now, beyond the requirements agent, data agent, solution agent, where we're going to bring in a new agent for coding.
Almost exactly 1 year ago, we introduced the world to a completely new idea in Power Apps, the concept of a plan generated by a team of agents that would think through requirements for software, data models, and solution architecture. And I tell you what, we have learned a ton from customers in the year since then. The agents have gotten better as well, and I want you to be among the first on the planet to see the next major leap forward for Power Apps and where all this goes. Now we're going to start in a completely new experience at powerapps.com. We're going to take a very similar prompt to what we used a year ago to help the operations team at State Farm. And we're going to pass it off to this team of agents that has been expanded and enhanced considerably. Now, it jumped right in. The requirements agent started building out user stories and roles, but then it autonomously handed off that context to the data agent to start building out a robust data model for the scenario all by itself. And look at that. All on its own, it's gone and generated a relational model for me over Dataverse. Now, we'll spend a little bit more time here in a moment, but we're going to come right forward and meet the newest agent on the team. And this is the most powerful one. We have added a coding agent in with the requirements and data and solution agents. And that means that this is now so much more than a plan. That coding agent has an entire set of tools and terminal for writing an actual full stack application, not just a custom page, not just a component, but really the whole thing soup to nuts. See, here it is right now, creating some APIs. It's designed a data model. It's got a whole plan. Now, while it works, let's come back and take a little bit closer look at the rest of this plan. We see we've got detailed user stories and requirements just based on a couple of sentences of prompt. This agent has thought about an operations team lead, an employee, and a manager. It's also thought about a robust data model, and it's starting to think about a solution proposal, not just an app, but also an agent to help review feedback on trainings. Now, let's zoom into that data model and check it out in a little bit more detail. Now, this may look simple on the surface, but this is so much more than some flat rows and columns. You can see that the agent is generating sample data. It's doing it over Microsoft Dataverse, a planet scale backend that powers billions of dollars of businesses. Today, I can set complex row ownership, security hierarchy. I can define, and in fact, the agent has defined for me, one-to-many and many-to-one relationships. You'll see that training module has a one-to-many relationship with feedback about that module and assignments, which are in turn related to employees who give feedback and are assigned to trainings. All of that generated and editable and something I can iterate with right in context here. Now, it looks like the coding agent is still finalizing some details. It's actually gone through and generated pages, and it's now checking its work. I'm going to jump ahead to one that I generated backstage earlier, and this is just the very first thing it generated. I've done zero additional work with this agent, but you'll see right out of the box, this app is pretty functional. It's got multiple pages. It's got a whole great animated navigation structure here. I can assign trainings. I can start assigning them. It's got forms. All of this is pretty cool. But behind it, it's not limited by the classic structures of a Canvas or model Power App. In fact, behind the scenes, this agent is just generating code. Now, of course, we can work with it, right? We can come into any point here and, we don't have to chat with a bot or an agent. We can just select things right on the canvas, just like that, and start to, play with them in style. Let's say maybe we want this to be much bolder. Maybe we want it to be italic and underlined. Maybe we want this button to, let's say, be red. Now, even in classic Power Apps, changing a color could be a little bit onerous, right? But now look at all these beautiful reds I've got here. Now, of course, we can go further than that. And the other big difference in this whole experience is now I can chat with the agents. I can give them feedback like I would any other member of my team. And so I'm going to ask this agent to go further than just changing one button at a time. I want you to style this whole app like State Farm. I want you to find their brand colors and use them throughout the experience. And so the agent is going to take that feedback into account. It's going to start thinking about a plan for its own work, and it's going to get to work as soon as it has that plan in hand. Now that'll take a couple seconds as well. It's got to go do a bunch of work. It's got to go look up State Farm on the internet. It's got to go figure out what its actual hex codes for brand colors are. And here it looks like it's actually done that. It's made itself an implementation plan for how it's going to do the rest of that work, and it's going to churn through and update all of that code for us. Now, there's a cooking show. We're going to skip to the end of the meal and plate the dinner. Here's a version of that exact same app that I have vibed with a little bit more. We've been able to add beautiful images. We've been able to add, multiple pieces of functionality into the app. Let's go zoom into a product, detail page and assign a training to an employee. Gosh, look at that gorgeous date picker there popping out. This whole thing is, composable in record time with record power because of this team of agents. What do you think? I think that's pretty awesome. Let's give Power Apps a high five there. Folks, this is rolling out in an early access preview as we speak. It'll be available much more broadly this calendar year. We cannot wait to see what you do with it. Thank you.
All right, so let's dive into code apps. So we're continuing that story of how we bring the app building experience to where your users are, right? So we talked about how low code, quote unquote, is dead as we know it, but code apps has kind of been there for a little while in preview, continues to be in preview, but it's really meeting your developers where they are, right? So no matter where they develop, maybe it's VS Code or another IDE that they want to develop their applications in, they can do that with code apps and then actually publish to Power Apps. So for all you pro devs out there and you're comfortable in your particular IDE, use code apps and publish to Power Apps. What that does get you is the ability to take advantage of our connector framework, our solutioning and pipelines capabilities, and all the security controls behind Power Platform, right? You don't have to build all that. You don't have to code all that in. You get to take advantage of all those great things inside the platform, but still in your IDEs and tools that you're familiar with and comfortable with working. And then just publish it to Power Apps. So Dataverse also behind the scenes getting updated. It's a little bit quieter. Sometimes people think it's a little bit, nerdy, I guess, behind the scenes on Dataverse and the APIs and what all goes behind it. But it's having to advance along with all the capabilities of AI. And we're bringing in new and more capabilities to support that AI inside of Dataverse. So think in terms, especially in terms of the MCP server. So we do use it in some of our agent building tools. I said I wasn't going to say it, so I'm not going to say it. But the MCP server can be used as knowledge, but more capabilities inside of that MCP server are becoming available. So being able to even create tables, delete records, searching and so forth. And then also being able to support that MCP server in VS Code. So being able to call that from, again, a different interface and use that capability. Next is also the ability to create or, I guess, delete, disable functionality or tools within that MCP server. So you might not want people to be able to create or have that MCP server automatically create tables or delete tables. You can delete individual tools of that MCP server inside those agents. And then just some additional roadmap items for Dataverse to keep in mind. Some of the other things that have been brought to the forefront is additional SDKs. So before it was C# and I can't remember what other languages that they're using, JavaScript and so forth, but now also a Python SDK. So along the lines of embracing AI and its capabilities is bringing forth those capabilities in Python. This went too far. Hold on one second. And then the last thing I'll talk about here before I hand off to Liz is bringing your single page applications. We talked already about generative pages. We've talked about Planner and being able to create applications. So we talked about code apps. This is kind of along the lines of code apps for Power Apps, but it's really about creating applications for Power Pages. So now you can use VS Code and create those React-based websites and pages and publish them to Power Pages. So it's all about, all these investments so that we talked about from a code app and Power Apps perspective. And now single page applications is all about speeding up development and innovation and really enabling your users to create apps no matter where they work. And with that, I'll hand it off to Liz.
Thank you, Randall. So there was a lot happening at the Power Platform Conference. Oh, give me 1 second. Can you still see my screen okay?
Yep, it just changes for you when you take over, Liz. We're good.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, so there's a lot happening at Power Platform Conference. There were a total of about 100 breakout sessions. And what a lot of feedback that I heard from a customer was that the amount of changes and features that are coming, this is happening really fast. And it's only going to continue to accelerate that pace of how the product is changing. I'm sure we'll get a lot of iterations between now and next year's conference. And so it's really important that you stay connected to the community, right? The fastest way to keep pace with the things that are happening is to be in touch with what the community is saying, what they're learning and insights. And so we are asking you to mark your calendars for the conference next year. The date has been set, It's going to be October 27th through 26th, and it will likely still be in Vegas, although we are quickly outgrowing the venue because we are a very strong community. But this is the date for next year, so mark your calendars. And we hope to see everybody there and that we stay in touch with the community here heading into next year's conference. And with that, Scott, Randall, I think you had another little tidbit in terms of like what was one of the things you're really excited about this year's conference.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So taking mine is a little bit more tongue in cheek, but it wouldn't be a Microsoft's big announcement if we didn't either change the name of something or, in our case this time, pay attention, update our logos. So it is time, if you haven't yet, to go back into all of your different decks. And if you're like Randall, Tracy, Liz, and I, you have astounding number of them, and get your logos updated. A special shout out to Randall, who did the updated logos on my virtual background today. Yeah, just to reiterate what Liz said, like, plan for next year if you can be there, great. Stay in touch with PowerHug and never ever forget to engage the community in other ways as well, right? Like find our MVPs on YouTube, find the blog posts that they're all making. The amount of like great information. I myself learn something from an MVP on an at least weekly basis, and that's a non-Microsoft person. I guess they're Microsoft affiliated, but they're not a Microsoft employee. So please do continue to seek those people out. It's always fun then when you do finally get to the conference and you feel like you're meeting all your heroes. Maybe one of my favorite parts of the conference. And then Randall, I know you had a couple more you wanted to hit on before we close out here.
Yeah, so let's, I guess we'll keep the tongue in cheek going here a little bit. We're going to talk about, again, meeting your users where they are. One of the things announced was the workflows agent. This, I think, actually came out a little bit earlier, but it's really meeting your business creators where they are in terms of building application or building automations, specifically automations here, so they can create intelligent workflows using natural language inside of Microsoft 365, and is creating this using the workflows agent, using knowledge that resides in graph as well as SharePoint, and automating those, I guess, those productivity type tools or workflows for your business users. And then the next thing here is actually App Builder. So again, being able to create apps from the get-go in Microsoft 365 using natural language to describe what those apps can and should do. Again, grounded in Graph and SharePoint, and actually uses SharePoint as a backend data source for those applications, and creates it in its own environment in Power Platform. So again, just providing another way to get started creating apps, maybe get started creating workflows for your end users who maybe aren't quite ready to create and build apps in Power Platform, but hey, they've got some productivity things that they want to take care of that they can do with SharePoint and Graph knowledge. They can build those beautiful apps to interface with that information, as well as maybe just prototype, get exposure to what this actual app building experience is like, and then say, hey, you know what, we've prototyped it, it works, we want to take it further and connect to some backend systems. Let's graduate into more of an enterprise type of system with Power Platform as a whole, and then take that next step into those more premium capabilities and solutions and pipelines and all that good stuff that goes along with it. So those are some of the fun announcements, right, that I enjoyed coming out of the conference. Scott, you want to close us out?
Yep.
Or we can open up for questions, comments from anyone?
I just want to make a comment, Randall. I did post one other thing I really enjoyed from a presentation demo. So I think it's relevant to this audience in healthcare because there's a lot of compliance and risk. So I did put that example in chat if you all have access to chat, just highlighting one of their demonstrations. If it's something you'd like to see offline, reach out to me and I'll coordinate a meeting between the PWC team and your organization.
Thanks, Tracy.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh no, I encourage it. And yeah, we had, like I said, this is one of many recap sessions. So if you're looking for a deeper dive, we have a series called the Masters series that had some of our PowerCat team on it that went a little bit more feature by feature. And there's at least a chance we'll see the keynote put up on YouTube. I know they put it up last year, so if they do that, we'll announce that on our LinkedIn group and make sure folks can get access to that. It's a really fun thing to relive even. And then next month we'll be here. We'll be here before the fourth Thursday, so December 13th. It's just around the corner. I do really encourage you to join us for that one. It might be a little bit of a more brief session and frankly a little bit more technical than what we're typically talking through. But I've seen this demo of what Abhijit built from Randall and my team, and it's just unbelievable. It is an autonomous agent that brings in the human in the loop, but it offloads so much of the mental load and uses Power Automate agent flows, AI prompts, even some Azure Cognitive Services. Like it's just an application and a use case that I saw that blew me away, and I had to beg him to share it with the community. We'd love for you to follow us all on LinkedIn, get connected there. Make sure you check out that YouTube channel for past sessions. And more content. And just we'd love to hear from you if you have feedback or ideas for future sessions, whether that be a session you'd like to do or a session you'd like to see Microsoft do. We're always looking to fill the calendar and get ourselves booked out as far as we can. So thank you everyone for taking some time today. Thank you especially to Randall, Tracy, and Liz for helping put the content together for this. It's been a fun experience. We always joke that the Power Platform Conference is our Super Bowl. So we're already starting to plan for next year. Mark your calendars, talk to us about how we can help you get there. And we hope that we'll see you there in person next year. So thanks everybody and have a wonderful Thursday.